Hello everyone, I'm going to show you how to quickly produce an oil drum, a barrel for a in-game scene. We'll start off really quickly with the cylinder, top view. I'll use shortcuts like Alt-W to pop in and out here. S I've got assigned to snaps. I'm just going to make this about that size, that height, and press Z to zoom into that area. Change the number of sides to 12 and height segments I'll change to 1. I'm going to press F4 to see the outline. I'll get A set to the arc rotate. I can also use this, but sometimes it offsets a little bit. Okay, I'm going to press J so I don't see the box, and G so I don't see the grid. Okay, so I want to manipulate the height of this, so I'm just using my W, E, R and keys, and you'll notice I switched the snap settings off for using the perspective view, because sometimes it can lock on and do some weird distortions. I'm going to press 4 to go into I need to do an editable poly on this. I'll just collapse it to that just now, and press 4 now and go into the face mode. I'm going to choose this top face, and I'm going to do inset. I'm just going to bring it in a little amount there, and I'm going to extrude it down the way. Okay, so I want to scale the object in here a little bit, just so it looks like kind of oil drum shape. So I'm not sure how the triangles are going on this top shape here, so I'm going to split it up manually. So it's going a top view type here. I'm just going to do some cutting, but I want to snap to the vertex, turn off grid points. You notice nothing happened there. I need to make sure I select the face. There we go, that's it, it's working now. Sometimes it's a little bit of a pain. See, like there didn't work. Again, it didn't work. And I've got some mess here as well being created from my previous attempts of trying to cut. I'll fix it up in a bit. I could undo until that was away actually. There we go. Looks like where I had the problem. So it must have been cutting at that point, but just not cutting right. That's it, that should be how it goes. I've got a problem here as well. Just undo until that goes away. Let's start again here. There we go. You noticed how that just jumped away over there. So it's a little bit quirky trying to do this cutting here. Yeah, it's too much bother doing it this way, so I'm going to think about another way of doing this. That one's already done, so I'm just going to choose the edges here. I'll press 2 to get in edge mode. Select these two. I'll just bridge them. These two. Bridge. going to choose all these points and make sure, yeah, that's going to weld one together. Something strange going on here. I'm just going to target weld this one right here. Select all the points and weld them. I'm going to double check this because that was really a bit messy. There we go. Okay. So everything's turned into polys. I want to put a little, cap here. So I could just drop a shape in, cut it in, and see what happens. But I'm thinking about some different methods. So maybe I'll try cutting again. So I've got a couple of triangles here at the corners, so I'll maybe see if I can do something with them. So I kind of want a shape in here. Something like this. And I was using cut quite a lot here to get what I want. Right, and I can press 4, get into my polygon mode, turn my cut off. I can press Q to come out of that. I'm just going to choose border here. And I can press W to get into move mode, hold down shift and drag up. And I can cap that off. It's not a perfect circle, so I'm just going to tweak it a little bit so it looks quite circular. I'm just going to go to an extreme here, and I'm going to create a cylinder just here. Change that to 6 sides. Just use that to line this up. I could have just popped a cylinder in there, but sometimes the lighting goes a bit wrong and you end up with a shadow being cast one side of the object, because the two objects are just attached basically. Sometimes it can be a bit of a pain. get rid of the temporary cylinder that I'd made. It's just down there. So there's a oil drum. It's quite a small oil drum. You know, I'm not worried about scale or anything like that. It can be scaled quite easy. So I want to go ahead and unwrap this. So I'll bring up the unwrap modifier. I choose faces. I'm just going to do a drag box across the middle here, and I want that to be cylindrical and to fit. The alignment went a bit crazy there, so I'll just press some of these, align C, best align, and that is absolutely screwy for some reason. So seeing it's like that, I'm going to do a reset X form on this just in case something's messing it up. Some scaling that I've done has messed it up. I'll just collapse to that, and that tends to correct a lot of things. So unwrap, choose my faces, face mode, choose my faces, and I'll try that again. Cylindrical, fit, and that is strange. You can see I've only chose so many faces there. I've got my ignore back face checked, so I'll just turn that off. Cylindrical and fit. It's better. Now if I open the panel here, I can see what's going on. So this bit here is just the one that I just fixed there, so just go to the top level here and I can move that out of the way. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to choose the faces, and I want them to go in I want them to go around there, so I'm going to edit this, edit, and ask to choose it in a loop. No, that would be a ring. Okay, and again cylindrical, and I'll do fit. That's those done. Go back to the top level, and I'm going to move that. I'm just going to move it up here, and I'm going to scale it a little bit so I know which part it is. Okay, so again, going to faces, choose this top face. In fact, I'll just select all up here. I'm going to hold down Alt and drag up. And I'm going to drag here as well. I've got that whole top part there, so I'm just going to planar map that, so it'll be planar, fit. Okay, for some reason it's totally disappeared on me. Line Z, okay, line Z. Back to top level, and I'll move that across here. This will be the base, and this will be, what bit is this actually? Do not recognise that. Press F3 and I can see around it. I don't see what part that is at all. So seems to be something strange going on, so I'm just going to collapse that to might actually be part of this lid. Right, so there's some planes around this lid part here, the cap, that I want to choose. this bit I think is this top ridge here. So yeah, I'm going to choose that. I'll go into my edit and I'll choose loop. I can't get what I want there, so I'll just choose up here. And that'll be planar. And there we go. Okay, so I've got all those bits ready now. So I'm just going to select everything and do pack UVs and just fill all those, click all those. Try that. Bad thing about this is I've got different areas getting different UV texels. So I'm going to do a checker pattern, choose this, press F4, F3 to see what's going on. And my main area is, you know, it's kind of bad, so choose that one. I'll just bring it down here and scale it. I'm going to use a different texture layout because I want to see what way it's pointing, so I'm just going to open one up. Okay, I want to load up a diffuse. Okay, so I seem to have got rid of my test texture, so I'm going to go online and fish one out. Pardon me. Okay. This is the one I like to use. Great, I just shut down my wonderful music. Okay, within this bitmap. Okay, so now I can see that that's lying on its side. So I'm going to rotate that round so that it's facing upright. Oh, it's the wrong way round. Okay, that's the way I want that. And I want to get it as square as possible. I'm going to base everything on this. You know, suppose I could fit everything up here. That'd be okay. So I'll choose this part here, which is the cap. So the top part. This here will be the base. I kind of want that in case it falls over, if it's going to have physics, and I want that. I'm just going to be extra fussy here, and I want it to be the same alignment as the lid. Yeah. So I want to rotate that twice. Okay. No harm in being a wee bit fussy. Right, this one. Yeah. And this one. I just want to make sure the orientations of everything is right, because it makes it like easier if I take it into Photoshop. I know what weighs what. So there we go, there's the splits there, and that's no big deal, because if we move about we kind of want to focus on, yeah, well, it doesn't really matter where that goes as long as it's nicely blended. And we've got this little guy, it's just a lid there, so I'll just make a little bit bigger. And what the hell, I could increase the area of the inside ring here, so I'm just going to come out the element, go into the edges, and choose this and do a loop, and then I could hold down control and that in a bit. It gives that a bit more area. Back into element, and I'll move that across a bit. I could choose these guys, move them over. This again, make it a bit bigger. And I'll pop all this into the UV area. Kinda looks like a robot's face. His mouth, his nose. That's his scanner eye, and that's his wacky eye. And he's got something, yeah, kinda looks like a robot. Funny. Okay, right. So that's the UV map done. Let's collapse 2 for that. Now what else we got to do? Nothing much but texture it. So, yep, so let's the best thing to do is maybe do an ambient occlusion pass. So I will create a material, and I'll make this material white, specular white, and I'm just going to assign that to the object. Plus I'm also going to mess around with the smoothing. And that's what I want there. Right, and I'm going to press 0 to go into the render to texture, and I want a 512 by 512. So got the object selected. I'm just going to add, and I'll just add diffuse map here, and the size 512 by 512. Okay, now I want to add a light, and it'll be a standard skylight. Doesn't matter where you add it because it still acts like a skylight. And if I render this, we'll see what we get. You know, everything's bright white at the minute, so I might have to bring the intensity down or check out my environment. Make sure my ambient's right down. Change the color to white there, and I'll bring the multiplier to 0.5 to see what happens. Okay, right, you might want to cast shadows, that might help. So it's rendering off what the ambient occlusion would be for that, and it's going to be a good base for the texture. Okay, so I'm going to bring that back up to 1 because I want it to be quite strong. Okay, that looks good to me. Okay, I'll just cancel that because that's not what I need. What I need now is I need to render that texture out. So I just hit render. Make sure I've got the object selected, hit render. And it's going to render that off with the ambient occlusion part put on it. While that's rendering, I'm going to look for some barrel textures. There's a really good one. Need to tweak it about here and there, but that's kind of what I'm after. Yeah, I'm just going to use that for now. It might be maybe subject to copyright, but I could probably change it a fair bit. I'm going to use it as a bit of a reference. We'll see if there's any others. There's some nice rust, which should be quite good to use. Some people use kind of paint barrels, oil drums. You won't be saying it's not a barrel, it's a drum. It's a drum. Okay. So there's that texture applied. Whoever's used this, they've kind of modified it a little bit. It's a really rusty looking drum. Okay, you notice that it's got these ridges, 1, 2, 3 ridges. I quite like those. So I'm going to quickly add those and then do a re-render of this. I don't need to worry about the UV maps because I I don't need to change them or anything. I'm going to scale this up a bit as well. For this I'm going to use Swift Loop. I'm just going to use the grid line here to get it roughly where I want it. So 2 off the top, well 2.5 off the top, 1, 2.5 here, 2.5 brings me here, 2.5 brings me here, 1, 2.5, some kind of round about here somewhere. Okay. I'm going to add an extra few round about those. Doesn't have to be perfect because at the end of the day this is quite old and warped and weathered a little bit, so I can come back off that Swift Loop. I'm going to scale these from the top view just out a little bit. Like that. I'm just going to name it oilDrum, and I better save the file. So once again I'm going to render this off, render the ambient occlusion off. That was me just assigning a white material to it and bringing in the skylight and putting the shadows on. What we should see here is some of these extra shadowy lines appearing across this part. That will be the extra ridges that I've just added. Sorry, I should have paused this. I'll just pause it and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so it's rendered out the ambient occlusion that I need, so I'm just going to save that. Just going to create a folder called textures, and I'll save this as a PNG. So I'll call this AO map. Right, and I better stop this video and create another one because it's starting to lag up a little bit, eating up all the memory. So I'll catch you in the next part and I'll show you how to texture this. Okay.